All right, so far we just put a few objects in. We're starting to just learn a little bit about how to, use some of Unreal's tools to make our own level. Really, we're just kind of like prototyping this out until we get to a point where we can start putting in our own art, which is pretty cool. And something else I want to show you next is just the basics before we get into like full blown lighting, how we can start to organize our scene and how we can organize our lighting. So the next thing I want to show you is you can see they give you this lighting folder which has a directional light and all this other stuff. Um, there's a pretty nifty tool. If we go up here to the top, it goes to Window. It's called Light Mixer. And when we click on that, this light mixer here, let's see if we could just dock this on here. It shows you where all the lighting is in your scene. We can also click Add and add lights within our scene as well. And this will show you this will take care of like if you want to add the basic lights. Another one is the environment light mixer. And let's go ahead and dock this one too. Now, what this one does is this allows us to control all of the settings that make up, what really makes our scene like shows this beautiful atmospheric with lights bouncing around and stuff. So let me kind of show you this. You can see there's a directional light here, a skylight, and all this stuff, right? So what's nifty about this is say you're creating a new scene and you want to set up the basic Unreal lighting. Well, you could see here's exponential high end fog. So let me go ahead and just select all of these. And then we have skylight, sky atmosphere, and I think that's it. Let's hit delete here. You could see, and we'll go ahead and delete volumetric clouds too. When you're creating a new scene, you can go through here and you could just kind of click through these. So like create a skylight, create a volumetric cloud, create height, create sky atmosphere, and create directional light. You can see it'll add back in all of our lighting information that was like when we first got in. And we could also tweak these values inside of here, right? So for our directional light, we can adjust the intensity here. And this is a nice way because you always want to sort of tweak your lighting, your sky atmosphere. Like you always want to sort of tweak it so that you can adjust things like just basic stuff like this so that you can get kind of an atmosphere to your game, whatever you're trying to do, whether it's cartoony or otherwise. If we select our skylight here to get it so that it's a lot of times you won't see like if it for whatever reason it doesn't look exactly the same. A lot of times when you select your skylight, make sure real time capture is on here under skylight. Another thing you want to do is if we press Control and L and I just hold that down, I can move the positioning of my sun with my mouse. So say we're going for something like this. I'm gonna actually rotate my screen a little bit more. You can go up or down, left or right, and let's zoom out a little bit more. See that? I think the house is a good place to where's that house at? Let's rename this too. And I just pressed F2 to rename. Kind of give it a little bit more like personality going this way. There you go, something like that. And the reason why I pointed all of my shadows this way is it kind of all those arrows point towards guiding the player to that house. You know what I mean? So I start off in this shadow, and that might be a little bit too harsh. But you can see the trees sort of guide the player to where I'm supposed to go. I'm always thinking about shape language, right? Like even having this building as a box shows sturdiness, strength, things like that, safety. Anything square. Um, that's why a lot of actually, believe it or not, with the exception of safety, they'll put a lot of bad guys as completely square with sharp edges, and that makes you feel a little bit, supposedly like they're tough, they're scary, a little bit more fear. If it's a square box with a rounded edge, it feels a little bit more comforting and softer. All right, I'm going to change this back to maybe like a little bit of a blue here, like a sky blue. Now, the last thing is, again, you could play with these settings. We'll get into, again, more, we'll do like a whole section just on lighting, a few videos on it because it's so important. But this is a great way of showing, like, if you need something up and running quickly, let's actually take our intensity down just a little bit here. This is a great way of just, you know, getting something up and running, like, for your game. And again, if you don't like the settings or you've played with them enough and you're like, oh, I really messed this up, you could always just delete it and re-add it, right? All right, so let's do something else. Let's go ahead and take a look at another element that could add a lot of personality to our scene, and that's adding water, right? So let's say I want to add maybe some water outside of here, and then we'll create a stream that comes down and maybe stops down here or something, or maybe it carves through the cliff. We'll think of something cool, right? Like a little bit of a waterfall. This could be a good area over here for it. So what we need to do is double check that you have the water plugin set up. So let's go to Window, and then we're going to go to, or Edit rather, go to Plugins, and then just type water in here. And then there's a bunch of these different ones. There's Water Experimental, a full suite of water tools, uh, lakes or custom water bodies that carve landscape, interact with gameplay. That sounds pretty exciting. Sample test maps, and then there's Water Advanced. We just want to do this one. And then, yes, I understand that it's experimental. I know that our level has reset. What I'd like to do next is just set up our environment here so that every time we open it, it goes to our environment test bed. So go up to Edit here, then Project Settings, and then Maps and Modes, which is right here. And then under here, we want to type in ENV for environment and just set up environment testbed for each one of these. And then go ahead and do File, Save All. And then now every time we open our project, it should go to our environment testbed. Let's go back to our content browser and open up our environment testbed. All right, so what we want to do next is go up to the top here and go to Window, and then check on Place Actor, or you can click on this and do Place Actors panel here. And then in our search here, go ahead and type in water. And what you'll notice is now we have a bunch of these different water settings: water zones, ocean, island, custom, and so on. So what I'm thinking we can do is, let's see. Let's do a water body ocean. So just left click and just drag and drop it in there. And that'll make it like our island is surrounded by a ocean. Let's see, layer, water. I think we're fine with just doing water here and hitting complete. All right, so I went ahead and added this water body ocean here. And it took a second, so I paused the video to kind of load in. And what we'll do is we'll kind of adjust the height of this so that it better matches. But what's cool about this is you can actually go underneath the water here, and it'll have some volumetric so that it looks like you're underneath the water, which is kind of cool. So if your player falls in or whatever, you also have to be conscious of where all of this stuff is, because um, it could adjust the collision of your player, right? So here's essentially my player start, and you'll see something that says bad size if your water is cutting into where your player is. It's conflicting because it has its own collision parameters. So you want to make sure that you sort of either move these elements around, which we'll do in a little bit, to kind of tweak it so that the water interacts with this environment. Something else I want to show you is the way this water system works is really nice, and we'll look at sort of tweaking the water system down here a little bit more. And in all honesty, we might have to, depending on if it's really affecting your system. But if I go ahead and hit Control and L, and I just kind of move my light around, you'll see that the ocean itself also interacts, or that with the way that lighting works. See that? And what you want to do is, as you're adjusting your lights, if I hit Control L, somewhere in the middle here, Go on, Control L. There we go. If I move this, come on, here, let me hit escape for a second. Control and L, and I hold that down. You can see that little blue arrow as you move your mouse around is the direction in which the light is falling. So that maybe that'll help a little bit. You know, so if I pull the light back this way, you get a little bit less of that pull off. All right. Something else I want to point out is you have to keep your environment, all your environment pieces inside of this landmass here, this ocean area here. See this line? We could adjust, let's see. Here, our water body ocean here. And we can sort of tweak that too. So that if we move this up, this sort of serves as a collision too. Hold on, let me bring that down a little bit. And I want to bring back my player start here for a second to show you. Hit F to focus on that. Do you see this line here? If I press play, you'll notice, actually it didn't do it that time, which is fine. But what it'll start to do is it'll start to shift your player start higher and higher. But if you want to adjust the height of your ocean so that because we didn't get to where it was actually cutting into my player start. But if you want to adjust the height of your ocean, you have to be very careful when you're doing it this way that it doesn't affect your player start. So you could bring your ocean up a little bit because we could always bring these down to almost the same level as the ground plane, but again, without affecting your player start, because it'll push your player start up into the air. Let me see if I can bring this way up. If that, let's see, that'll happen if I press play now. Yeah, so there we go. See how our player start is all the way up here? So if that happens to you, you have to make sure that duplicated. You want to make sure your water body ocean is at just at the bottom base of your landscape. So let's bring this down again. It's too high. And it's kind of hard to eyeball it, but you can see, well, I guess you could select your landscape and you could see that it's like this -600, so -600 here. That's on no, it's -99. Let's go back a little bit. It's -99 here, so, and then you could select your water body ocean and just make sure that it's somewhere below there. So that's -315, so we could do maybe -98 here. Yeah, we're gonna have to down res this water. It's even tanking my really powerful computer. So I think that was 99. This will be -98. Let's see if that affects my player start. And that looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna save that. And I think this is a good place to stop. I feel like this video is going too long. You've got an ocean in there. We've done a little bit of how we could adjust the lighting using the light mixer. Nothing too scary. And then again, we'll continue to build on this knowledge as we tweak our water in the next couple of videos.